What if I told you there's a place in Europe where emerald rivers cut through deep valleys, snow-capped peaks rise above storybook forests, and ancient culture quietly thrives between them, and most of the world still hasn't discovered it? Welcome to Slovenia. Imagine waking up in a country so green it almost feels unreal. Morning mist rolls slowly over hills covered in thick forests. The air is crisp, clean, and cool, carrying the scent of pine and mountain streams. As the sun climbs higher, the landscape reveals itself. Rolling meadows, towering mountains, and rivers so clear you can see every stone beneath the surface. Slovenia is small on the map, but what it packs into its borders feels almost impossible. In just a short drive, the scenery shifts dramatically. One moment you're surrounded by dramatic alpine landscapes, where jagged peaks scrape the sky and glaciers have carved valleys over thousands of years. The next moment, gentle countryside unfolds with vineyards stretching across sunny hillsides. Water is everywhere here, and it shapes the land in breathtaking ways. Rivers glow with an almost surreal green color, winding through canyons and forests like ribbons of glass. Waterfalls tumble down mossy cliffs, creating soft thunder that echoes through the valleys. Lakes mirror the mountains around them so perfectly that the reflection feels like another world beneath the surface. But Slovenia isn't just about landscapes, it's about harmony with nature. More than half the country is covered in forest. Walk through these woods and you'll quickly realize how alive they are. Birds echo through the trees, streams trickle over ancient stones, and sunlight filters down through leaves like golden dust. It's the kind of place where silence isn't empty. It's full of life. Wildlife still roams freely here. Deep in the forests, powerful creatures move through the shadows, reminders that these landscapes have remained wild for centuries. Nature isn't something distant or protected behind fences. It's woven into everyday life. That connection to the land shapes the culture in fascinating ways. People here have lived close to nature for generations. Traditions have been passed down through families, crafts, music, and stories rooted deeply in the rhythm of the land. Wooden houses with steep roofs sit peacefully in green valleys, built to withstand long winters and heavy snow. In the warmer months, the countryside bursts into activity. Farmers tend fields that have been cultivated for centuries. Markets fill with fresh produce, cheeses, breads, and honey gathered from nearby hillsides. Everything feels local, authentic, and unhurried. Even the architecture reflects a blend of influences. You can see the marks of different cultures that pass through this crossroads of Europe. Medieval charm mixes with alpine simplicity, creating towns that look like they stepped straight out of a fairy tale. And then there are the caves. Beneath the surface of Slovenia lies another world entirely, one carved by water over millions of years. Massive underground chambers stretch deep into the earth, filled with towering rock formations that look almost alien. Stalactites hang like frozen icicles from ceilings, while stalagmites rise slowly from the ground, each one taking thousands of years to form. Walking through these underground cathedrals feels like stepping into a secret world hidden beneath the mountains. But what truly makes Slovenia remarkable is how accessible all of this beauty is. You don't need to travel far to experience something completely different. In a single day, you can hike through alpine terrain in the morning, wander through rolling countryside in the afternoon, and end the evening surrounded by peaceful forests under a sky full of stars. Adventure lives everywhere here. Crystal-clear rivers invite explorers to paddle through narrow gorges where cliffs tower overhead. Mountain trails wind upward toward breathtaking viewpoints where the entire landscape unfolds like a painting. Cyclists glide along quiet country roads that weave through villages and fields. In winter, the mountains transform completely. Snow blankets the landscape, turning forests and valleys into a silent white world. The air becomes sharper, colder, and the mountains feel even more dramatic against the winter sky. And yet, despite how stunning it all is, Slovenia still feels like one of Europe's best-kept secrets. There are no overwhelming crowds in most places. Instead, there's space to breathe, to explore, and to truly experience the landscape. Travelers often describe the feeling of discovering something authentic, something untouched by mass tourism. It's the kind of country where every turn in the road reveals another view that makes you stop and stare. One moment you're driving through a peaceful valley surrounded by green hills, and the next you're standing above a deep gorge carved by centuries of rushing water. Sometimes the most memorable moments happen in the quietest places. A wooden bridge crossing a glowing river. A small path disappearing into thick forest. A distant mountain peak catching the last light of sunset. Slovenia is filled with these moments. And the more you explore, the more you realize that this country isn't just beautiful. It feels magical in a way that's hard to explain. Because here, nature, culture, and history haven't been separated. They've grown together for centuries. And that deep connection shapes everyday life in ways visitors notice almost immediately. Life here moves at a different rhythm. It isn't rushed. People take time to enjoy their surroundings, to walk, to sit outside, to talk with neighbors. The landscape encourages it. When your daily backdrop is mountains, forests, and rivers, slowing down doesn't feel like a luxury. It feels natural. Seasons are especially important in Slovenia. Each one completely transforms the country. Spring arrives with an explosion of color. Snow begins melting in the mountains, feeding rivers that grow stronger and louder. Meadows slowly turn green again, dotted with wildflowers that sway gently in the breeze. Trees bloom, orchards come alive, and the countryside feels like it's waking up after a long sleep. Hikers return to the trails, exploring paths that weave through forests and climb toward panoramic views. The air is fresh and cool, perfect for long walks through landscapes that feel almost untouched. Then summer arrives, bringing warm sunlight and endless blue skies. This is when Slovenia truly shines. Rivers glow their brightest shade of emerald. Lakes shimmer under the sun. Fields stretch endlessly across the countryside, painted in shades of green and gold. Outdoor life becomes the center of everything. People spend their days swimming, hiking, cycling, or simply relaxing near the water. Cafes spill out onto sidewalks. Markets overflow with seasonal food grown just miles away. Long summer evenings are unforgettable. The sun sets slowly behind distant mountains, casting soft orange light across valleys and forests. The air cools just enough to make the moment perfect. And when night falls, the stars appear in a sky that feels impossibly clear. Then autumn quietly takes over. Forests begin their transformation, turning from green to a deep palette of red, orange, and gold. Hillsides glow with color, and the air becomes cooler and calmer. This is harvest season. Vineyards and farms become busy again as grapes, fruits, and vegetables are gathered. The countryside feels rich and abundant. Food becomes even more important during this time, celebrating the flavors of the land. Morning fog drifts through valleys, slowly lifting as sunlight warms the hills. It creates scenes that look almost cinematic. Villages emerging from mist, forests glowing in early light. Then winter arrives and everything changes again. Snow falls across mountains, forests, and valleys, softening the landscape into something quiet and peaceful. Trees become heavy with snow and rooftops turn white. The mountains dominate the scenery during winter. Their peaks look sharper, more dramatic against the cold sky. Trails that were once green become snowy paths leading through silent forests. But winter in Slovenia isn't harsh in spirit. It's cozy. Warm lights glow from windows. Wooden houses feel welcoming against the cold outside. Inside, people gather around tables filled with hearty meals, stories, and laughter. This balance between wild nature and warm culture is one of Slovenia's most fascinating qualities. The country may be filled with dramatic landscapes, but it never feels intimidating. Instead, it feels welcoming, almost gentle. The wilderness is powerful, but it exists alongside villages, farms, and traditions that make it feel connected to everyday life. Another reason Slovenia feels so unique is its geography. It sits at a crossroads of Europe, where different landscapes meet. Alpine mountains blend into rolling hills. Dense forests stretch toward open plains. Karst terrain shapes underground worlds of caves and hidden rivers. All these natural forces have been shaping the land for millions of years. Water carved deep gorges through limestone. Glaciers sculpted mountain valleys. Underground rivers slowly formed enormous cave systems beneath the surface. When you stand in Slovenia's landscapes, you're looking at a story written over vast stretches of time. But what makes it even more remarkable is how carefully the country protects these environments. Sustainability isn't just a trend here, it's a national mindset. Cities focus heavily on green living, public spaces, and clean transportation. Recycling and environmental protection are taken seriously. Large areas of land are protected to preserve ecosystems and wildlife. This dedication has helped Slovenia become one of the greenest countries in Europe. Visitors often notice how clean everything feels. Rivers remain crystal clear. Forests feel healthy and vibrant. Even urban areas blend naturally with surrounding landscapes. It creates a rare balance, modern life coexisting with preserved nature. And then there's the sense of discovery. Because Slovenia isn't one of Europe's most heavily visited destinations, exploring it often feels personal. You can wander quiet paths through forests where the only sounds are wind and birds. You can follow winding roads through hills and suddenly arrive at viewpoints that take your breath away. Sometimes the best experiences aren't planned. You might stop at a small roadside farm selling homemade food, or follow a narrow trail that leads to a hidden waterfall deep in the woods, or watch clouds roll across mountain peaks while standing completely alone on a quiet ridge. These moments are what stay with people long after they leave. Slovenia has a way of surprising you. It's not just one type of landscape or one kind of experience. It's a constant variety of scenery, culture, and atmosphere packed into a country small enough to explore easily. One day you're surrounded by towering peaks and rushing rivers. The next day you're wandering through peaceful countryside where life feels like it hasn't changed in generations. And just when you think you've seen everything, Slovenia reveals something new again. And that sense of discovery keeps unfolding the deeper you travel through the country. The landscapes never feel repetitive. Even within the forests, every valley and hillside seems to have its own personality. Some areas feel dense and mysterious, where towering trees block most of the sunlight and the ground is covered in moss. Others feel bright and open, where gentle trails pass through clearings filled with wildflowers and buzzing insects. Walking through these forests can feel almost timeless. Some of the trees are centuries old, their trunks thick and weathered, their roots gripping the earth like ancient guardians of the land. The forest floor is alive with small details, mushrooms pushing through fallen leaves, tiny streams trickling between stones, and birds darting between branches. In many places, the only sound you hear is the wind moving softly through the canopy above. Then suddenly the forest opens up and you're standing at the edge of a wide valley. Green fields stretch into the distance, surrounded by mountains that rise like walls on every side. The contrast between dense wilderness and open countryside is striking, and it's something Slovenia does incredibly well. The countryside itself feels carefully shaped but never artificial. Generations of farmers have worked this land, creating fields and terraces that follow the natural curves of the hills. Instead of massive industrial farms, you often see smaller family-run fields, vineyards, and orchards scattered across the landscape. From above, these areas look like a patchwork of colors and textures. Green pastures blend into golden grain fields. Vineyards trace neat lines across sunny slopes. Small villages sit peacefully among it all, their rooftops clustered together as if they grew naturally from the land. There's something comforting about these scenes. They show a way of life that still values tradition, patience, and connection to the environment. Food plays a big role in that connection. Because the country is so diverse geographically, its cuisine reflects a wide range of influences and ingredients. Alpine traditions bring hearty dishes designed to fuel long days in the mountains. Countryside kitchens focus on fresh vegetables, homemade breads, and locally produced cheeses. In other regions, you'll find flavors shaped by neighboring cultures that have interacted here for centuries. Meals often feel simple but incredibly satisfying. Fresh ingredients are the star. Vegetables grown nearby, honey harvested from local hives, and bread baked the same way families have made it for generations. There's a deep respect for seasonal food, meaning what you eat often reflects the time of year and the land around you. And meals aren't rushed. They're meant to be enjoyed slowly, often shared with family and friends around long tables where conversation flows as easily as the food. But Slovenia isn't only peaceful countryside and quiet forests. It also carries a rich history that stretches back thousands of years. Long before modern borders existed, people were already living in these valleys and mountains. Archaeological discoveries show that early communities settled here because of the fertile land, abundant water, and natural protection offered by the terrain. Over time, different cultures passed through this region. Traders traveled along routes that connected distant parts of Europe. Empires expanded and retreated. New traditions blended with older ones, leaving behind traces in architecture, language, and customs. Even today, you can feel these layers of history woven into daily life. Folk traditions remain strong. Music played on traditional instruments still echoes at local gatherings. Colorful clothing worn during festivals reflects styles that have been preserved for generations. Stories and legends also play a big role in Slovenian culture. Many are inspired by the landscapes themselves. Mountains, forests, and caves have long been the setting for myths about mysterious creatures, ancient heroes, and hidden worlds. These tales were once shared around fires during long winter nights, passed down from parents to children. In a place where nature feels so powerful, it's easy to understand how these legends began. Stand beside a rushing river deep in a canyon, or walk through a foggy forest at dawn, and it doesn't take much imagination to feel like you've stepped into a story. Adventure seekers are especially drawn to Slovenia because the terrain offers endless opportunities to explore. Mountain trails range from gentle paths through alpine meadows to challenging climbs that reward hikers with sweeping views over entire regions. Cyclists find winding roads that climb gradually through hills and forests, offering both challenge and breathtaking scenery along the way. Rivers create another kind of adventure. Their clear, fast-moving waters carve through dramatic gorges, providing thrilling experiences for those brave enough to navigate them. At the same time, calmer sections of water allow for peaceful moments of floating quietly between green riverbanks while birds glide overhead. For many visitors, the biggest surprise isn't just the beauty, it's how immersive everything feels. You're not just looking at nature from a distance. You're walking through it, swimming in it, breathing it in. Even the air feels different here. Because so much of the country remains forested and protected, the atmosphere feels unusually fresh. Many travelers notice this immediately. The clarity of the sky, the crispness of mountain air, the refreshing coolness that flows down from higher elevations. It's the kind of place where stepping outside instantly lifts your mood. And yet, despite how wild and natural Slovenia can feel, it's also incredibly welcoming. Local communities often greet visitors with genuine warmth. Small guest houses, family-run farms, and cozy lodgings offer travelers a chance to experience daily life up close. Hosts are often eager to share stories about their region, recommend hidden spots, or prepare traditional meals that introduce guests to local flavors. These interactions often become some of the most memorable parts of a journey. Because while landscapes create the first impression, it's the people who give a place its heart. And in Slovenia, that heart feels deeply connected to the land. Many families have lived in the same valleys for generations. They know the forests, the rivers, and the changing seasons intimately. Their traditions, recipes, and celebrations all reflect this long relationship with the environment. This deep-rooted connection creates a powerful sense of identity. Slovenia may be small geographically, but its culture feels incredibly rich. And the more you explore, the more layers you uncover. A hidden trail leading to a breathtaking view. A quiet village where traditions are still alive. A mysterious cave system stretching deep underground. Or a peaceful riverbank where time seems to slow down completely. Little by little, the country reveals itself. Not all at once, but in moments that feel personal and unforgettable. And the deeper you travel, the more you realize that Slovenia isn't a place that tries to impress you loudly. Its beauty reveals itself slowly. At first, it might just be the color of the water catching your eye as a river glides past a forest. Then it's the way the mountains suddenly appear through morning fog as you drive along a quiet road. Later, it's the feeling of standing somewhere completely silent except for wind moving through trees. These moments start to add up. Soon you begin to understand why so many people who visit Slovenia describe it as one of Europe's most peaceful places. The pace of life plays a big role in that feeling. While much of the modern world moves faster every year, many parts of Slovenia still follow rhythms shaped by nature. Farmers rise early with the sun. Markets open in the morning with fresh goods brought in from nearby fields. Afternoons slow down, and evenings are often spent outdoors while the day gently fades into night. There's a quiet balance between work and life that feels refreshing to experience. And because the country is relatively small, nature is never far away. Even if you spend time in more populated areas, it only takes minutes to reach forests, hills, or rivers. People often take advantage of this by escaping into nature whenever they can, whether it's for a short walk, a bike ride, or simply sitting somewhere peaceful with a view. This closeness to the outdoors shapes how people think and live. Children grow up exploring trails and climbing hills. Families spend weekends hiking, swimming, or skiing, depending on the season. Nature isn't treated as something separate from everyday life. It's simply part of it. That connection is one reason Slovenia consistently ranks among the greenest and most environmentally conscious countries in the world. Sustainability here isn't just a slogan. It shows up in practical ways. Public transportation systems aim to reduce pollution. Many communities prioritize pedestrian areas and cycling paths. Recycling and conservation efforts are widely supported by the population. Even tourism is approached carefully. Instead of encouraging massive crowds, the country focuses on preserving the landscapes that make it special. Many travelers are encouraged to explore responsibly, respect natural areas, and support local businesses. The result is a destination that still feels authentic. When you walk through villages, you're not stepping into something built for tourists. You're seeing places where people actually live, work, and continue traditions passed down through generations. And those traditions can be fascinating. Music, for example, has long been an important part of Slovenian culture. Folk songs often tell stories about life in the mountains, love, nature, and historical events. Traditional instruments accompany melodies that have echoed through valleys and villages for centuries. During local celebrations, music and dancing bring communities together. Colorful costumes appear, reflecting regional styles and patterns that have been preserved for generations. These events feel vibrant and joyful, offering glimpses into cultural roots that remain strong even in modern times. Craftsmanship is another tradition that still thrives. Handmade wooden items, woven textiles, pottery, and other crafts reflect skills learned from parents and grandparents. In a world dominated by mass production, these handmade objects carry a sense of history and care that feels increasingly rare. Many visitors enjoy discovering these small details. A handcrafted object in a shop window, a local musician performing at a gathering, a family recipe served in a quiet restaurant. These experiences reveal a deeper side of Slovenia that goes beyond landscapes. But the landscapes themselves never stop amazing people. Take the mountains, for example. From a distance, they appear majestic and powerful, their peaks rising dramatically above the surrounding valleys. Up close, they reveal an intricate world of ridges, alpine meadows, rocky paths, and crystal-clear streams. Hiking here can feel almost surreal. Trails wind through grassy slopes where wildflowers bloom in vibrant colors. Higher up, the air grows thinner and cooler. Views expand in every direction, revealing endless layers of hills and peaks stretching toward the horizon. Standing at these heights, you gain a new perspective on the country. You can see how valleys carve their way through mountains, how rivers snake across the land, and how small villages sit quietly within the vast landscape. It's a reminder of how small humans are compared to the natural forces that shaped this region. Glaciers once moved slowly across these mountains, grinding rock and carving deep valleys. Over thousands of years, water continued shaping the terrain, creating dramatic cliffs, caves, and gorges. Even today, these natural processes continue. Rivers still erode stone, forests slowly expand and change, and seasons reshape the appearance of the land year after year. One of the most magical experiences in Slovenia happens early in the morning. Just before sunrise, when the world is still quiet, a soft mist often fills the valleys. From higher ground, it looks like an ocean of clouds flowing slowly between hills and forests. As the sun rises, golden light touches the peaks first. Gradually, the fog begins to dissolve, revealing villages, rivers, and fields below. It's a transformation that happens slowly, almost like a curtain lifting to reveal a new scene. Moments like this remind travelers why Slovenia feels so special. It isn't just about dramatic landmarks or famous attractions. It's about atmosphere. The quiet beauty of landscapes that change with the light. The feeling of breathing fresh mountain air. The sound of water flowing endlessly through valleys carved long before modern civilization existed. And sometimes the most unforgettable experiences happen when you wander without a plan. A narrow road leads through hills covered in vineyards. A path disappears into a forest filled with birdsong. A simple wooden bench sits at the edge of a viewpoint overlooking a valley glowing in late afternoon sunlight. You stop for a moment, sit down, and realize there's nowhere else you'd rather be. That's the magic of Slovenia. It's not overwhelming or crowded with constant noise and activity. Instead, it invites you to slow down and notice the details. A butterfly drifting across a meadow. Clouds casting moving shadows across mountains. The distant ringing of bells echoing through a quiet valley. And the more time you spend here, the more these small moments begin to feel extraordinary. Because in Slovenia, beauty isn't concentrated in just one place. It's everywhere. Hidden along forest trails, reflected in clear rivers, carried in the traditions of villages that have existed for centuries, waiting patiently for anyone willing to explore just a little further.